Do you ever get to hear the integral parts of the financial aspect of sports, or the why things change in professional sports? Well, you don't really, unless you're speaking to the people directly. And this week we've been speaking to Warrick Giddey, Josh Giddey's dad. But Warrick Giddey is a NBL basketball legend here in Australia. Just him alone, never mind who his son is. But Josh Giddey is in the NBA, currently playing for Chicago Bulls. This episode, the final part of this week here on YouTube, we talk about the financial landscape of basketball in the 90s and the shift of that now, the change in the summer basketball format as well. That's actually quite interesting, something I didn't actually know. We also look at the unique atmosphere of Australian sports as well, something I'm relatively quite new at, even though I've been here for 13 years. We'll look at more life changes. Now his son is playing in the NBA, and we continue but we look at Josh's change from the Oklahoma Thunder, where he was drafted to, and now his transition to playing for Chicago Bulls. Quite an interesting bit. And also, how could we not finish the episode of giving advice for young athletes? Amazing. We're here with Warrick. This is the last part with Warrick, and I hope you've been enjoying it. If you missed the other parts, please go back and subscribe to our YouTube channel, because it helps support the channel. We also are on Spotify and Apple, if that's your preferred platform. Anyway, enjoy the episode with Warrick and myself. Have a great weekend, and come back next week for another amazing guest. But got to watch this bit first. Enjoy. I mean, that's a whole different episode if we get into the root cause of why that happens with, parenting and delayed gratification and things like that. Jordan didn't get his millions until he showed he could do what he did. But now people are stepping on the court with millions of dollars before they've even tied the laces, right? Yeah. Was money... What was the wages like for you guys around that time? I assume were you paid all differently as well, though?
Well, in the 90s, you probably... It's hard to, I'm guessing here to a degree. I would say the imports, might have been on, close to 200,000 in the 90s. The top imports around the league, there might have been more money. Your average Australian players, you could have been on anywhere from my ability, from 50 maybe to 120,000. Some of them maybe a little bit more.
That was good money then, though, right?
Yeah, it was very, very good money. So, the 90s, you could buy a house for 200,000. Port Melbourne, around this area, around the Bayside areas. And, if I was on 50,000 then, that was a quarter of the price of a house.
Yeah.
These days, you're talking $1 million for a house, and the average Australian isn't getting a quarter of that price, which is 250,000. Your good players are probably getting that, I would say. But your bottom ring Australians, maybe similar to me, you maybe at 100 to 150,000 now. So the money was quite good comparably to what real estate was, in a sense.
Yeah.
So the people in my era, although interest rates got to 20% at one stage in the 90s, most of the people in my era, if you were playing basketball or sport, you probably had enough to get a deposit on a house and get into the real estate at that time. So that was probably a lot of people's saviour, that we have houses from the 90s when they were relatively cheap.
Yeah, and imagine if you bought one in Port Melbourne back then, or Beach Road, you'd be tripled, quadrupled the value of it right now anyway, because that area's blown up.
Yeah, well, I didn't quite get Beach Road, but I got Swallow Street, which was just up from the where the Spirit of Tasmania docks. So I was smart enough to buy into Port Melbourne in 1991, I think it was.
Nice. Yeah, I cut through there when I'm coming back from MSAC, Albert Park area. I cut through that little area, so I reckon I know where you are.
Yeah,
to be honest.
It's unfortunately, I bought the small, the 40-metre deep by 5-metre wide, termite riddled Victorian terrace house.
Oh, I'll find you then. So have you been in the same property since 91? Are you still in the same?
No, we cashed out in 2000, early 2000s, and went to Yarraville.
Oh, yeah, you did say that. Yeah, yes, I remember. Yeah. You taught me something quick. Before we do come to the end, though, you taught me something last time regarding the change of the position of the seasons around the winter and the summer.
Yeah. Well, I think it was 1998 that we changed the year. So basketball was traditionally a winter sport. We'd go against Aussie rules. We'd finished probably, I think, a week later than the AFL Grand Final, or maybe a few weeks later. But I think Kerry Stokes came in with Channel 7 and basically offered the NBL from my understanding, that they would take the TV rights on, but we would need to change it to a summer to get it away from the football, which they currently did, and they wanted the basketball in the summer. The NBL apparently agreed, everything was ready to go, but the only thing they didn't do was sign an agreement, and apparently Channel 7 pulled out after that. Now, this is not hearsay, this is from my recollection of what happened, and we were stuck with the summer season with no TV rights. And that was probably the whole purpose to move. And I remember at the time, I was shattered because summer was my time, selfishly. That
Yeah.
was when, I went and worked as a lifeguard. I went back to Wollongong, hung out the beach, did some surfing. It
Yeah.
was holiday time, school holidays. And, that's probably one of my biggest beefs about basketball. They say what a great family-friendly sport it is for the NBL. And I'm thinking, we're the only bastards working over Christmas to a degree.
Yeah.
Every other school kids on holidays and families are going away for school holidays, but no longer can basketball people do that.
Yeah. Must be the only country in the world that do it, because everywhere else is what, October, November down to April,
Yeah,
June, depending if you make it to the
yeah,
playoffs. And then you've got the summer period. Even in France, Italy, Spain, they've all got the summer holidays.
that's right. But as I said, I was looking at a selfish point of view, and obviously not understanding the marketing, and I clearly see why they've gone to summer, and it's there's a void there for sport to a degree, and
Mm,
people want it, and I suppose I still think we can go with Aussie rules, and I'd love to see the season go from basically halfway through the year and bring our finals on when Aussie rules is finished, and we'd have November finals, and we'd finish when school finishes, and
yeah.
everyone could go on their school holidays. I could go surfing, and then we could come back next April
Yeah.
and resume pre-season and start the comp when we would just overlap. And I feel like the NBL at the moment, we start when AFL was ending, so we lose. Everyone's too worried about the AFL, and basketball's lost in the finals of AFL. And then when we finish, AFL's almost just starting. So the hype up for the AFL almost we get lost out. I feel like our start and end of the season are both lost
Yeah.
to AFL in a degree. Now the basketball purists they're there, they know what's happening. But if you want the sport to grow, to me, you've got to get to the people that aren't fans of the sport. And if you're competing against, Australia's favourite pastime, AFL, to me, it's very difficult to expose the sport. But as I said, there's other reasons, and I would know is why they're doing it these times. And obviously, they got the reasons and the right people running the show. I'm just putting my two bobs worth in, but I would love to see our season and finals end right when school's ending, the first week or second week of December.
Yeah, yeah. Have you seen, since obviously you've been around the game for such a long time, have you liked the changes that's changed within the game, or I remember actually having a discussion with you last time about how you think the direction it might be going in certain wrong directions. I think we brought up like things like spectators really close to the court. It was actually quite interesting. I'd never looked at it like that before. What was
Yeah,
that
look,
point about? Can you remember?
the beautiful thing about Australia is with our sport, we've got no segregation. You can come with your mate and he cheers for one team and you cheer for the other team, and yet you can sit next to each other in harmony with other people from either side around you. And you look at Europe and England, especially in the English Premier League, where fans are segregated. And, I've always said it's only going to take one idiot jumping onto the court of basketball, jumping onto a AFL field and taking out a game winning play. You know, Fortunately, it's never happened. Hopefully, it does never happen.
Mm,
But, the nature of the beast, it will happen one day. Let's hope that's plenty of years after I'm gone.
yeah,
But the basketball, the greatest thing about Australia people is that they're there to enjoy the atmosphere with each other. And as I said, we've got parochialism, but it hasn't evolved to gang warfare and fans. There's a minor bit of fans attacking each other. There's a couple of fights, after footy games, but there's not this gang-related violence that you see in
no,
other countries. So that's one of the proudest things you can say about Australian sports fans, that they are very, very good like that, of going to sporting games. So,
yeah,
to me, we've never really had any problems with it.
yeah. No, good. The once you've finished your career, then playing wise, you went into assistant coach role, right?
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to be the second assistant. Lindsay Gaze was still a head coach, and Al Westover was the assistant coach. And yeah, the league was getting more professional, where most teams had two assistants, and maybe even a physio and a weights coach. So we're evolving as a club and putting on more staff. So I was very grateful for the club to be able to give me that second assistant coach's role. And the pay rate wasn't real good that first year. And I had to earn the stripes and really, then I started doing clinics and a lot of other work with the club as well. And, to build myself up through the ranks.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome. Oh, my light in the hallway is on a timer and it's just gone off and it does it all the time to me, so I just need to turn it back on again. Um, Beautiful. Well, if there's anything if there's anything that we think that you think we've missed from this episode that you think we need to share, is there anything that we've missed that you think from your journey, from
No,
your
I think we've covered most things. As I
yeah?
said, I've had one of those lives where motivated by days off school. That
Yeah.
was I love sport, and I always said when I was a youngster, if I can get paid to do something I love doing because I do it well, give me that every day of the of the week. The last thing I wanted to do was be at a desk from 9 to 5.
Now we know why Josh didn't go to college.
That's it. So, and it's great because I think that pathway, the sporting pathway, whether it's as a player or as an administrator, it's such a great pathway for kids these days that want to stay involved with something they truly love.
Yeah, absolutely. We've mentioned how life has changed for Josh, and it's fairly obvious because people can watch it pretty much all the time on TV and how well he's doing. How has life changed for you and the family um, since Josh has joined the NBA?
Oh, look, not a lot's changed for his mum and I. We're obviously she still lives at Yarraville. She's home with the girls. She's still got a full-time job. I still work for a little time after that. Before I sort of got into semi-retirement, so I do as I said before, a lot of love jobs with coaching and get out and maybe work with a mate to get some real work with labouring and do some gardening. But otherwise, that I really just want to be able to concentrate and get over and see Josh. And
Yeah.
I remember when I started my basketball career, my mum and dad were just about to retire as school teachers, and dad took early retirement, I think at 50, late 50s, and mum was a little bit younger. And, I'll never forget mum saying, one in, all in, we're great unionists, and if dad retires, I'm with him. So mum
Oh,
took early retirement, and they basically travelled around Australia and would plan their holidays. Okay, we're going to play the Perth Wildcats on January the 16th, so they'll go over there and they'll go for a week's holiday and then come to the game and watch me play. So they did that for a good 10 years. And I've taken a leaf out of their book. And really, the lifespan of a sportsman is so short. And, Josh is into his fourth year. And I've really seen only a smidgen of him playing. I've been over there each year and, caught games, but only a real smidgen of what I want to do. And, the next few years, I'd love to be able to get over there, see heaps of games,
mm,
hang out with Josh, and him being an NBA superstar now, gives us the ability to be able to do it. And Mum always
yeah.
says to me, "Why did you? How come you couldn't buy us a house and buy us a car and do all this?" And I said, "Mum, I'm just not on the. I wasn't on the same money as Josh is on, but he has that opportunity of it's a life changing thing for." Not so much for his mother and myself, but more so for his siblings. And he's going to be able to set them up for life. And
Uh,
you talk about generational wealth, and this is something that he'll be able to provide for his family down the track for
yeah.
as I said, generations to come. And it's something that I mightn't get to take advantage of a lot of it, but so proud that he'll be able to do it for his family and future families.
Absolutely. It's beautiful. Yeah. And is your mum and dad still alive?
Yeah, mum and dad are both there. Dad's 91 and mum's 84.
And have they been able to watch him in the NBA yet?
Yeah, they've watched plenty of games. They're getting to that age now where they can't work it out as well with the computers and things. So
Oh, so
they
they've not been to the America to watch.
no, unfortunately they were too old to travel by the
Yeah.
time. But his grandma from his mother's mum's been over there, and Josh brought her over last year. So
Oh,
she loved that. And, he took care of her. He flew her over first class, and
oh,
and she had a wonderful time. So that was
brilliant.
just good. He's just so generous and so fantastic with the family.
Oh, great.
Couldn't begin to tell you.
How many games have you watched him live?
I'd say a good 50, I'd reckon. We'll get
Yeah.
over each year and, over Christmas. So he gets a lot of home games and we've been on the road to a fair few. So we watched all the final series last year in New Orleans and Dallas. And I'd been over there for a month before the final series. So I got to watch quite a few, but haven't seen him in the Bulls colours yet. But I'm getting over there in January and I'll go over for a 5 game stint. But it'll be a little harder this year because I've got coaching duties with the Tigers and that's a full on job where I've committed to. So I've said, listen, I won't get over, but
That's a tough one.
hopefully get over there real soon.
I think I know, no offense, but I think I know what I'd rather do.
Yes.
I know you can't say anything, so be careful.
Well, that's why I've got
Um,
a good assistant coach that they can
yeah,
take over when I'm gone.
yeah. So, you have got an assistant coach,
Yeah, Ray Gordon's my assistant
of
and
course. Yes,
John Middleton yet. So
I'll go and assist him.
there you go. So I've got two more than capable guys.
There you go. There you go. So just quickly then, the change from obviously going from Oklahoma. I've actually got a picture of Josh in his Oklahoma top with yourself.
Yeah,
He was there for 3 years. He did really, really well. We always refer to when we're passing the ball, when I refer to Drew, and I said, mate, you're looking more like Josh Giddey every day. I
good,
use him as a bit of a reference.
good.
How's he coping in Chicago? How's that going so far?
Yeah, good, good. As I said, I haven't been over there yet, but we sort of talk regularly, and yeah, he's settling in quite well. I think he loves the place, and he loves his new teammates and the coaches and the whole staff. And I mean, wherever you go, you get looked after. And
Yeah.
Oklahoma was exceptional, and they were went way beyond the call of duty, and as I'm sure most of the NBA clubs does. So. He's still in the development stage. He's only 22 years, coming into
Mm.
his fourth year, which is,
He's a baby, isn't
um,
he?
yeah, which is pretty good for a 22-year-old to have his fourth year. And a lot of kids aren't drafted till they're 21,
Yeah.
22. So he's still got a long way to go. Hopefully, he's got a number of years to stay in that league. But there's a lot of things that he's got to get better at, and he'll continue to improve week in, week out. And he's not scared of hard work.
Yeah.
That's a good thing about him. He's happy to go into the gym and lift weights. He's happy to go and shoot and get shots up with coaches. So I think he'll continue to get better, and he'll only enjoy himself more.
Yeah. Absolutely. Not sure if you're allowed to say, but does he miss Oklahoma?
Uh, I wouldn't. I'm sure he misses the team and the guys. They were an unbelievably close knit group, and I think you might have seen that when they played
Oh,
Oklahoma, how they embraced
yeah.
us after the game.
That was amazing. I wanted to bring that up actually. That video was
Yeah,
absolutely mate. It actually brought like my hair stuck up. It was really, really nice to see that.
yeah,
And the
yeah.
person speaking on the commentating, he actually brought that up himself and he just loved it. He
Yes, yeah, and it
yeah.
was. I was, I sort of had mixed emotions at the time. I was more apprehensive for him in case it was read the wrong way, and
Mm,
he's just lost with Chicago, and look at him with his old teammates all happy and laughing, and I know how much criticism the AFL players get at the end if they're talking to their mate and they're smiling and laughing and the team's lost, and it's the commentators arc on like it's they didn't care about the game, and they most of those commentators are ex-players. They know. I mean, I can bash the hell out of my best player, best mate, and at the end of the game, if he's beat me, I'm laughing with him. And I'll come
yeah.
next game and I'll bash him again, and I'll be mates with him again at the game. And to me, the commentators just get it so wrong. The battle is over. The battle is over. Well, you smile and you get on with life.
Especially when
Um,
there's a connection and relationship there that they, was together for so long as well. That's not you can't just shut that off, can you?
yeah, no, not at all. Not, and I thought it was a great thing. He handled it really well. And to their credit, no one really in America said this wasn't right.
Mm,
Where Australia would, to me, they would have tore that down. Oh, we've got to act angry and upset after we lost, and we're going to put on this macho image of, well, I'm never going to lose again. And life goes on. The game's over, the contest's over, and
mm,
um, I think a lot of Australian sports people are doing that these days, but it's the commentators that are frowning on it, and that's
yeah.
where I was really apprehensive of how they would react to it. But yeah, couldn't have been happy with the way
Oh,
the commentators, the game, and everyone reacted to it, and I thought it was an absolutely beautiful moment.
it really was when the guys surrounded him. I
Yeah,
loved it. I loved. I had you in my head. I was just thinking of you, and I was thinking of Josh.
yeah.
Really, really, really nice. In Chicago, is he in the suburbs or is he in an
Oh,
apartment in the
he's just,
city?
I think he's just out of the city near the trainer facility. So,
Oh yeah,
yeah, getting back to that, I don't think he would miss. Oklahoma was an extremely small town. Maybe, for example, going to Ballarat or a Bendigo out of Melbourne. So much smaller country town. I think it was great for him. The fact that there was not a lot of distractions. It
Mm.
wasn't a big city. But Chicago, yeah, he's ready for the move, and big city. As I said, I'm pretty sure he loves it there. He's got his best mate, or one of his best mates, Paddy Twigg, that lives with him. He's a basketballer from his junior days at the Melbourne Tigers, so
Oh.
he's got company there. He's got a mate. He's getting paid great dollars. He's in an iconic side, iconic city of Chicago. What more could you ask for?
And he gets to see the Jordan statue that I've had a photo outside of
Yes,
all the time. What an honour that would be in itself.
that's it. We just hope Michael gets back there one time, and especially, hopefully, I'm over there at the time he comes.
Yeah, I went to watch Michael Jordan play on December 22nd, 2001 for the Wizards at the Garden in New York.
Oh,
Yeah, and I went down with actually my third guest, Andrew Borger, an author of one of the books on himself. It's his stepdad. He used to salsa dance, and he used to dance at the Garden, so he knew a lot of security there. Third quarter, when Jordan used to sit in the middle of it, in the middle of the third, we actually went down because we knew when he was going to come off,
okay.
and I shouted, "Hey, Mike!" And this guy in front, it was like I was 5 feet away from him, and this guy turned around and said, "Oi, shut up, mate. He's busy. Like, don't keep him let him focus." And I went, "Mate, I've travelled all the way from England. I'll shout if I want." Anyway, the person, Izzy, turned around and said to me, "Do you know who just told you to shut up?" And I went, "Nope, I don't care." And he went, "Luther Vandross." I was like, "Oh, shit." Luther Vandross is a famous singer. And
Yes.
most Aussies haven't heard of him, but he's massive.
Yeah.
So that's my funny story with Michael Jordan anyway.
Oh, oh, it's one more than I've got anyway.
I loved it. I got there to the stadium earlier. I'm like the videos growing up. I was crying seeing him shoot three throws. Oh,
Yeah.
it was amazing. Anyway, final few questions then. If you were going to give anyone a piece of advice regarding the sporting world, the professional world, navigating being an NBA dad or as a professional dad or whatever it may be, somebody who's watching this and they're on a journey themselves, what piece of advice could you give to them?
Well, look, first and foremost, the kid's got to enjoy what he's doing. With Josh's mother and all of our kids, that we always said, if they're not enjoying it, don't play it, do something else. And our
Mm.
oldest daughter, Hannah, quit basketball after under 12s for 3 years. And then she
Oh,
came back under 16s and fell in love with the game again. So we never forced them. My youngest daughter's recently pulled out of the Melbourne Tigers juniors when I
oh,
was coaching the under 16 girls because she wanted to play AFL. So we supported her, and she was all apprehensive about coming to us. But what we said to our kids is, if you play twiddlywinks, we'll be in the front row cheering you on. We don't
brilliant.
care what you do, so long as you're happy. So the most important thing that we found is let them be happy, let them choose the sport, give them a taste of everything while they're young. There's a lot of coaches now in under 12s and 14s, and hey, you have to pick your sport. Well, that's just totally wrong to me. You should be playing as many sports as you can, and until you've got under 18s, and you've got to make a choice about your path. But
Sure.
really, I think kids should be encouraged to play as many sports as they can. You'll be good at some, others you might not be as good at. Encourage them there, and then it's really just enable them to go to the pathways that are there for them. I was fortunate enough to be able to coach my kids because I had that basketball background. Not every parent's going to be able to do that.
Mm.
So we encourage them, parents that aren't involved in the coaching, we encourage them to support them. Don't try and interfere too much. The last thing, and I knew as a kid, I didn't want my mum and dad coming in and interfering, and talking to coaches. So most kids will work it out for themselves. The parents are there for emotional support, to get them to games, to drive them around, to be their chaperone, so to speak, but to care for the kid and to encourage. And again, it was different. I look at some things and think, maybe I didn't talk to Josh right after some games as a parent. I was talking to him more as a coach
Mm.
a lot of those times. So I look back and think maybe, in some things I might talk to him more as a dad rather than having just been his coach in a game.
Yeah.
And so there's little things like that. But basically, we find now that he's in the NBA, he's got good people around him. He's got his agent, Daniel Moldovan. He's done a fantastic job for him. He's almost like a father figure to him for Josh. And, other people might say, oh, I don't want that. But it's fantastic that he has someone that he can look up to and that can act as a father figure while I'm not there.
Yeah.
I'm not one bit jealous about that. I think it's great for Josh to have other mentors along the way and other people he can look up to. So we've tried, me and his mother have tried not to be involved too much. We're there to oversee everything, but we don't go and nitpicking. We don't ring the agent saying, "What are you doing? We need this and this done." We don't ring the club.
Yeah.
So we stay out of the picture, but we're watching.
Yeah.
We're well aware of what most things are going on, but we haven't had to interfere. We don't want to interfere. We want Josh to be able to run his life. We're there just to put the brakes on if anything untoward happens. Unfortunately, everything's pretty smooth, and we see no reason why we will have to put the brakes on.
Yeah.
As I said, he's got great people around him, and as I said, if you love something, the old saying, if you love something, set it free.
Yeah.
If it comes back, it was yours. If it doesn't, it never was.
Yeah.
Um,
So true.
and the kids will all come back, and that's the love we have for them all.
I need to listen to a bit of that advice because I probably sometimes do speak to my son like I'm the coach. Well, I am his coach, but I probably do need to do the dad thing a little bit more. So, and I know it, but it's just in that heat of that moment, isn't it? It's really, really hard.
And it's hard sometimes because you wind yourself up and you'll
Oh,
start and think, I'm just going to give him okay, you should have done this. And then what about this, this, and this? And it'll escalate. And before you know it, you're on a major rant and your
yeah.
kid's sort of looking at you, shaking his head, saying, yeah, shut up, Dad.
Have you been in my car?
That's it. And you can lose, suddenly you lose the message. They stop listening to the messages. So
Yeah,
sometimes you've got to be short, precise. And as we say, you've got to give them, if you're going to criticise them, you better give them love as well. So,
totally. I try and give him love. I'm definitely reflective of that. I'm very much about the emotions and
yeah.
and things like that and emotional intelligence. So I do give him the love, but it's a little bit later.
And that's it. Sometimes it's not as early as they want it.
Yeah, or need it. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
exactly.
last one for you then, was it? What is your purpose in life?
Well, I always used to think, what am I here for? Now, I probably will have a purpose to help kids, to mentor, to be a great dad, I suppose. I've had 16 years on the youngest one and 23 years on the oldest one, trying to direct them with life and, show them the rights and wrongs. And I never forget when I got in a little bit of trouble when I was young and dad gave me the advice and he said, like we've told you what's right and wrong. Everyone knows what's right and wrong. It's now, do you want to do what's right or do you want to do what's wrong?
Mm,
So when you go out and do bad things, it's not like you're unaware of it. So just having that awareness that make smart choices in their lives with our kids. Hopefully I can be a good mentor to any basketball kids that I'm coaching. Talk about the game, how to enjoy it, how to make other people enjoy it, how to play as a team. So um, I've never been so much one for individual sports. I've found myself I always played team sports.
mm,
Maybe that was the reason because I wasn't good enough for individual sports, and with team sports you could find the right people to help you win. And to me that's fun. Being able to win with mates, having that camaraderie. So enjoy the moments. Enjoy the moments with teams. Cherish moments that you're winning, that you're having success with teams, and also grow from losing and not having fun. How do we get better? How do we enjoy this? And it's a good journey for a lot of people, I think, and they'll work out, is sport for me as an occupation, as a profession, or am I just doing it for fun? And most people should work that out pretty quickly in life, and
mm.
they'll know what they want out of that sport. But as a parent, encouraging and giving kids the opportunity. That's the big thing. So hopefully I can still that in other parents and other kids that I teach.
You've done it to me tonight, Warwick, mate. You have, and I'm going to keep this. And this is why I do these episodes, so I can just take them with pieces of everything with me. And that's really what I want the viewers to do as well, right?
Yeah,
Take little bit of pieces and implement it into their life wherever they feel fit. So,
yeah.
yeah,
As I
mate,
said,
it's been a pleasure.
I
Sorry,
didn't
go
get
on.
it 100% right, but as I said, you learn from your mistakes along the way.
Oh, what I figured out is we could nail every aspect and points that we're bringing up with all the different people that I come across, and I'll still fuck him up in some sort of way.
Exactly.
The word trauma is, very prevalent at the moment. There'll be some trauma that he'll go back on and talk. My dad didn't do this. I'm like, oh my God, I tried. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Anyway, mate, Warwick, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you for joining me. I know
Oh,
we've been talking for quite some time now around this podcast, and I've had to move it twice. We've had internet issues, and then I wasn't feeling well, so I appreciate your patience as well. And mate, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for joining me on my journey. Thanks for being a part of this, and you're forever part of the Leading Our Own Way family now.
it's been an absolute pleasure, Andy. Thanks very much for having me on, and hopefully some listeners get something out of my story there.
Absolutely, they certainly will. And yeah, I'll put all your details in the show notes. Everyone wants to refer back to you and come and watch you play or whatever, make contact. All the details will be in the show notes. But until then, have a great week, everybody. Everybody else, join us next week for another amazing guest on Leading Our Own Way. From Warwick and I, have a great week. Bye for now.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening and watching Leading Our Own Way. So we can stay together forever and share more incredible journeys, please subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss next week's episode and what that amazing guest has to offer to the world. Please support Leading Our Own Way, and we'll get you on next week's episode.